is very important for free access to breakfast and lunch. Breakfast and lunch.
Thank you. Jason?
There we go. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jason Kashdan. I hold a master's degree from the Tufts University School of Nutrition, Science, and Policy, and I'm here to express my support for Bill 2320. I'm going to be answering 4 questions that you might have. I think some of the points were already touched on, but hopefully this is an efficient summary, and I thank you so much for staying with us. I know it's late. So the first one is, why does Rhode Island need healthy school meals for all legislation now? The current school meals program fails to reach every child who faces food insufficiency. Vulnerable children are ineligible for school food assistance because their families don't meet federal income thresholds. The families make too much money to qualify, but not enough to meet a standard of need budget, which means they can still struggle to afford basic necessities like housing, healthcare, and food. Additionally, tens of thousands of families in Rhode Island had their benefits slashed when federal pandemic waivers expired last year, and it was a double whammy for children whose parents had to seek additional income to make up for that lost support. These children are at risk for losing access to free or reduced price meals because the extra income their families need to make can suddenly render them ineligible for free or reduced price meals. So the second question, how do healthy school meals make a material difference for the lives of Rhode Island children? School meal programs have shown to be a key driver to improve food insecurity for children. Breakfasts and lunches served at schools are more nutritious than meals obtained elsewhere and are critical intervention points to combat the childhood obesity epidemic. For example, students in schools who receive free meals through the community eligibility provision, which has been talked about tonight, saw a reduction in obesity prevalence compared to students in schools that were also eligible to provide free meals through the program but did not participate. What steps can Rhode Island take right now to secure additional funding to provide healthy school meals for all in the F25 budget? Schools that opt in to the National Community Eligibility Provision provide free meals free of charge regardless of students' household income, making it the most equitable option. But today in Rhode Island, we're missing out on funds to operate a Healthy School Meals for All program by not optimizing the way in which our schools participate in the program. Last year, Rhode Island's percentage of schools that were eligible and participating in the community eligibility provision was below the national average. The long and short of it is, instead of judging eligibility on a school-by-school basis, local education authorities could apply as a group of schools or as a whole district so that more schools could receive federal funds and the state could spend less money. The state would be able to rely on a larger federal reimbursement to cover the entire cost of meals served to students in Rhode Island. More federal funds getting to Rhode Island schools could bring much needed relief to an already tight budget year, which everyone has been talking about. We're fewer than 18 months before Hold Harmless School funds run out, and schools will once again be fully on the hook for children's absences. In the beginning of this year, it was still unclear how districts were planning on making up for that loss. The proportion of chronically absent students statewide increased from about 1 in 5 to about 1 in 3, according to a recent report from the Rhode Island Public Expenditure Council. And so could an investment in free school meals save money in the long run? Universal school meals help improve attendance rates and can help avoid school budget shortfalls. In a recent interview, Professor Emeritus of Policy Amy Schwartz said attending and eating at school means families spend less money on groceries at home. A positive lunchroom experience free of stigma contributes to a better social experience overall, which means they might be more likely to be engaged in school and actually show up. School breakfast and lunch participation has dropped nationwide following the loss of offering universal free meals at schools during COVID-19, except in states like California, Maine, Massachusetts, and Vermont, where their elected officials found the funding to support a free school meals for all program. So please consider supporting this bill, and thank you for inviting me to speak today. I also wanted to quickly mention that I'm someone who has a few different chronic health conditions, including Crohn's disease. So if I had those challenges at the same time when I was at a school age where I didn't have healthy school meals, I would not be here today. I would not be well enough to be here today. If my family didn't have enough money to provide me with the resources to get the help, I would not be here today. I switched careers to come and learn about nutrition to provide help for students who don't have the access. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jason. Any questions or comments for Jason? Senator Zurier, then Senator Brito.
I was not aware of the federal program. Is it possible for you to describe very, very briefly how the cost sharing works?
Could you repeat how the what?
How the cost sharing works between the federal money and the local money when a community participates?
Yep. So in the community eligibility provision, depending on how the schools participate, they'll receive a portion of federal funds. There's this magic number that's 62.5% of the students who would otherwise qualify for free or reduced price meals. If a school or a group of schools or an entire district, if they meet that magic number of 62.5%, they get the full federal reimbursement. So that's sort of the math that was surprising to me, where if Rhode Island is below the national average of schools that are eligible but not participating, the challenge becomes when we have to check the number. I think is 20% is the new number to be eligible. That's great if a school is eligible, but it doesn't mean they'll get the full reimbursement. And that's why it's important for school administrators. This is the part that I don't know how it all happens, but we need to come together to optimize that so we can get the full federal reimbursement and not say, well, it's great that schools are eligible. The schools don't have the money to make it happen, and the state might not have the money to make it happen. So I hope that answers your question.
I'd like to do something unusual with the permission of the chair, which is to ask the sponsor about the fiscal note that came with this bill. Would that be out of order?
Proceed.
Yeah, I guess my sponsor is, do you know if the fiscal note considered this federal money in coming up with the number it did?
No, it didn't. But it is important to recognize that the bill actually incentivizes districts to get, to encourage them to get into this program. But the fiscal law didn't really include
Okay, thank you.
the program.
Thank you, Chair.
Yep.
Oh, can I add one quick note on that? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I don't know how this works. Yeah?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And just a note about the wording of the legislation. This legislation, and I understand the challenges of trying to get things passed the most effective way, it doesn't require, right? It doesn't require maximizing federal reimbursements. Other states that passed it did, and they do. So that's something we could also look at. Is it worth requiring school districts, however it works, to maximize federal reimbursements, or do we leave it up to, a strong suggestion doesn't mean it's going to happen, and schools, districts, et cetera, could still be on the hook to make up for those funds. So thank you for asking the question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Zuri. Thank you, Jason. Senator Chacon?
Senator Zuri, did you ask what the cost of this program would be? Because I think Senator Costa, and I know I read it.
He asked if the CEP was included in the fiscal note.
That was my question. Because Senator Costa had said it was 38 to 42.
Right.
And my question had been, did that account for the full amount of federal money that
No.
could be obtained?
It didn't.
Thank you.